Okay. Hi, Cytel. I'm so excited to have you here.
Hi, Alicia. I'm so excited to be here.
I knew, I knew that I was going to really enjoy interviewing you because we were going to have a dance party at some point.
Check. You can check that one off the list already.
We're just getting started. Okay, so I brought you on here because I wanted to talk to you about Neptune, right? Neptune will be going into retrograde. Is it tomorrow? I think it's tomorrow. So we got to get this up like right away. So I know Cytel because she was the first astrologer to read my chart. I know.
Woohoo!
So she got me, Naomi got me down a little bit down the rabbit hole, but I would say Cytel like accelerated it. Because as soon as I found out about my moon sign, my whole world just, and a lot of people that follow me and I've talked to, they know that I'm crazy about the moon, and I like that's kind of where I'm going with my astrology, I think, is moon stuff. But anyway, so I know you're more than just an astrologer, so tell us what you do, Cytel.
I'm a vocal intuitive and light-filled astrologer, so I really help women connect to the power and frequency of their voice.
Yes, you do.
And I listen to their voice to hear what's going on because our voice is the physical manifestation of our soul. Is that like so? I
I
know
love
this
that.
feels
Every time
so
you say
good.
that, I get goosebumps.
I know, me too. Like it's because it's so true. Like our voice cannot hide anything. Like it can.
Hmm.
We've learned how to manage it.
Hmm.
But when there's like certain ears and we get in a session, then I can hear all those things and the big things that are needing to be addressed so that we can get you in alignment with your sound. And when you're in alignment with your sound supports your message, it supports your mission, it supports your
Hmm.
communication, like the way you sound supports your communication with your family, with your friends, even with yourself
Yeah.
and your children and your audience and your soon to be audience, and like it
Mhm.
affects all your communication. And so it's really exciting to me to do that. And oftentimes, and in every diagnostic session for sure, I'm looking at the natal chart. I'm seeing
Mhm.
what's going on in the natal chart. I'm listening to the planets. So I
Mhm.
really hear what the planets are saying to you and saying about your voice and
Mhm.
the relationships they have. Anyway, it's a blast. And the
There was,
things you
yeah,
hear in the
yeah,
planet is amazing.
it is amazing. Yeah, like I didn't even think that I was actually hearing planets until you said, "Hey, guess what, Leisha? You have clairaudience." They're like, "Your Jupiter is in Pisces." I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
"Oh, that makes sense." So, ever since I had my session with you, my gifts like just opened up so much. And I've gotten more clarity and understanding of how I want to even market, and knowing my Cancer moon changed everything because now I give myself permission to be a little more private, actually.
Yeah.
And that has been game changing for me. And so, because Facebook sometimes doesn't feel very safe,
Yeah.
and I care a lot. Like, I don't have as much of like a thick skin, and so I care a lot about what people think. I'm working on that.
Hmm.
And so actually being on Facebook, at least right now, is not really a great place for me. But I found a really great place in Marco Polo where I can do videos
Yeah.
whenever I feel like it. So, because I have a busy life with kids. And so I can just pop on there, say what I want to say, share any insights I have, and then pop off. And then they can't comment. It's just me. It's a sharecast. It's a channel, and they can send me private messages, but they can't like hijack the
Right.
thread or anything like that. And it's because of you,
Mm,
teaching me about that. And then even saying like, oh, Alicia, not only is, your moon sign affecting your voice, but it's kind of everything. And I can't agree with you more. Like, knowing that has literally changed every aspect of my life.
wow.
I'm starting to kind of look at my day and like my routine through the moon, and pay attention to moon cycles and how they're affecting my energy. And I, like I said, I market and I do my business more in a Cancer way, so I'm more emotionally connected with my audience.
That's
Hmm.
like really, really huge.
It's huge. It's huge. And then also at home, I am allowing myself to be okay being at home. I think that throughout my life and just possibly trauma, possibly just expectations or whatever, I always felt like I had to be on and like, always always with people. I
Yeah,
always thought I was just like 100% extroverted. Actually, I was just living in my Leo Mercury. I
right.
was just literally, I wasn't even being true to like my sun, like Virgo, really. And
Yeah,
it just came to me that actually I like being alone a lot more
yeah.
than I thought. So it was
That's a
huge.
really huge realization.
Yeah.
And to give yourself that space to like be like, I actually need to be alone so then I can come out and
Hmm.
communicate in a
Hmm.
Mercury way without feeling exhausted. Because I think when you communicate and you're so heavy in living in that sign, it just is exhausting
Oh yeah,
because you're
absolutely.
not in balance.
No, absolutely. And then I realized that I think for a long time I felt like I needed to process emotions more in like a Gemini way. And
Yeah.
I actually think when I did my first session, when I had the
Mhm.
birth date wrong, I thought I was a Gemini moon, and I was like, oh, that makes so much sense because that's how I lived my life. Is like I
Yeah.
had a Gemini moon, and then realizing that I'm a Cancer moon, but not only that, I'm a 0 degree Cancer moon, which means I'm like pure pure
Yeah.
Cancer right there, you know. So anyway, I just wanted to say thank you again so much because it's changed so much of how I run my life and the way I make decisions, and especially how I process emotions, because now I do it by myself, more internally in a bathtub, journaling,
Yeah.
just
Oh, that's beautiful.
in such a safe, retreating way. And it's just so honoring.
That's really beautiful. I had no idea.
Now
Thank
you
you
do.
for sharing that. No, I do. Now I do. Thank you for
you
just
know,
sharing that with me.
yeah, I've been meaning to write a review for you. So there it is.
Thank you.
There's my review, my glowing review for Cytel. All right. Let's get back on topic. So, okay, Neptune. So, um, we most all of us know about Mercury and Mercury retrograde, but I don't think a lot of people realize that like the other planets go retrograde too. So, knowing this, I felt it was really interesting because I have a Neptune in retrograde in my natal chart, and so do you.
Mm.
And I felt like we could talk about what that's been like for us. But first, let's talk about what should we expect if you don't have it in retrograde. What do you expect in this retrograde season?
When it's going into retrograde, I think we could each talk about this because we experience it on the regular basis. This is how I've experienced it in retrograde. Uh, Sometimes it feels like, ugh, um, well, I lived a lot of my life in a dreamlike state. So my
Hmm.
ex-husband would be like,
Where are you?
you you think reality is this thing, it's actually not. And I was like, no, this is real. Like everybody is just nice and so kind and everything is great
Mhm.
and nothing's wrong. And then I woke up and I was like, this stinks. Like, this doesn't just
Oh.
stink, but this is like a lot of swear words in a row. Do you know what
You
I'm
came
saying?
back to earth.
Yeah, yeah. And so it was hard sometimes to connect with reality. I was having a hard time connecting to reality. Um, I would get lost in a
Mhm.
dreamlike state. I don't know if
Mhm.
you experienced this,
Oh,
but
yeah.
like all the time. And it was like
Daydreaming constantly.
daydreaming all the
Mhm.
time,
Mhm.
constantly. And I think daydreaming can be really good, but when it's like all the time and it's overkill, then
Mhm.
you're actually disconnecting from two things. You're actually disconnecting from your real dreams
Mhm.
and you're disconnecting from reality because I don't think you
Oh,
can
I love
actually
that.
be connected to your dreams if you're not also connected to reality.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I think I've never thought of it that way, but you're right. Yeah, you actually aren't going after what you want because you're just distracted.
Yep. Yes, like and hyper focused.
Mhm.
And like hyper focused on what you think reality is, even though it's not, because you end up doing everything that you can to protect the reality that you've created.
Yes,
At least that's
absolutely.
how I've experienced
Mhm.
my Neptune in retrograde. And it's hard to feel because, the when I very first learned about Neptune, um, one of the words that was presented to me was the attuner. And
Mhm.
so, like, bringing the tunement or bringing, and when I say like tune, it means
Mhm.
like alignment, bringing that in. And I definitely feel like I struggled with alignment within myself and being
Mhm.
in tune with myself because I was so into like what everyone else was doing and making sure that I was attuned to them instead of being
Mhm.
attuned to me
Right.
and attuned to God. Do you feel like you've experienced it like that too?
Oh, absolutely. Because it was a way to, well, it was a protection, but it was
Yep.
also a way for me. It was survival,
Mhm.
honestly. Um, it's like it's part of that people pleasing. It's part of that, being in tune with other people and their like nonverbal cues and their facial expressions and like the things that they say so that I don't make them upset. I know
Yeah,
like I
right.
can predict like how they're going to react about something. And so I'm sure there's a lot of people that feel that way. They're just extra sensitive to
Mhm.
people so that they can
Yeah.
avoid contention,
Yep.
confrontation.
Yeah, and I totally agree. And I think like as you're saying that, one of the things that comes to my mind is that Neptune, and I think especially when it's in retrograde, Neptune can make things kind of fuzzy. Because I don't think that that's Neptune in the light. I think that's Neptune in the shadow. Makes
Mhm.
things fuzzy because Neptune in the light is the attuner. And so
Mhm.
we get into tune with
Mhm.
ourselves, and that is massive clarity.
Mm.
That's what that means to me,
In
right?
the light.
So
Mhm.
in retrograde, things can be kind of fuzzy.
Right. I guess we should kind of scoot back a little bit. We haven't really talked about what Neptune is as far as astrologically what it means. We should probably do that.
Well, I think we covered some of that.
Did we?
Yeah, just that being a tuner, being the dream, like really, I think it really is so much about attunement. When I have looked at Neptune and just seen like what is it, how are other people describing it? The word that fits to me the most is attunement. And
Okay.
it's so funny because when I was learning astrology, like when I was taking an astrology course and
Mhm.
doing all of that, I started seeing the symbols for things everywhere, like Uranus. I was like, oh my gosh, that's a cell phone tower. Like,
Oh,
can
yeah.
you see it?
I can.
Like it's up and then it's got all the panels on the side and so
Yeah.
it kind of looks like it
Oh
and I
my
was like,
gosh.
"Oh my gosh, that's totally Uranus because
Uh-huh.
Uranus comes in and shares all this information in like,
And technology.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And and then Neptune's like the pitchfork, right?
Mhm.
And so I was in my car and my phone was connected to the USB port, so it
Mhm.
wasn't just Bluetooth, and
Mhm.
the Neptune symbol came up on my car.
What?
And it's because that's the symbol for being connected to the USB.
Oh, of course.
And
Oh yeah, of course.
I was like, oh
That's
my
right.
gosh, here is Neptune is like connected to the songs on my phone. And so I was like, oh, Neptune feels so much like music because music can pull us into the alignment. Do you know what I'm saying?
Totally.
Like
Oh yeah,
so
absolutely.
fast. Music pulls us in like so fast, which is why when we use music intentionally, it creates so much power because it
Mhm.
just brings our soul into alignment with the vibration of that song. And if
Right.
we're not in alignment with that, then the song is irritating and we cannot wait to get it. I'm sure you've experienced that where you're like,
Yeah,
I cannot listen to this song for one more second.
that's true. That's very true.
And it's because you're so far out of alignment that
Mhm.
it's creating like this kind of effect, like
Mhm.
sandpaper, on your own frequency. And so you're like, I've got to get this off. Um, yeah, so some really great words are inspiration, intuition, like these things, and
Mhm.
attunement. And that to me is like when you're connected to your intuition, you are in alignment, right?
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
then illusion and like confusion and like this fuzzy feeling, that is what we can experience when it's in retrograde, and you and I both.
Right. Because we've also experienced it in like escaping, right?
Yeah.
Like I definitely escaped my life for sure through that way. Um, okay. So we talked about what it's been like for us with Neptune in retrograde. So what is it going to be like for those that don't have that in their natal chart? What is this retrograde going to be like for those?
So they might experience some of that, like
They
some of
might some
we,
experience
yes, some
some fuzziness, brain
confusion.
fog.
Yeah, some confusion, maybe some like a
Mhm.
little bit of delusion, some foggy fuzziness, like what is going on? Is this really like, and and I think so anytime something goes into retrograde, like anytime Mercury goes into retrograde and I'm like, okay, here we go, communication issues. To me, it's an opportunity for me to look at what I'm not currently in alignment with in my
Mhm.
own communication.
Okay.
What parts of my relationships, is not clear is an opportunity for me to create more clarity there.
Mhm.
That makes sense.
Mhm. Yeah,
And so,
absolutely.
like, that's how I want to look at it. Like, yes, we can experience some more of this, like delusion. We can experience like this fuzziness and not feeling connected and maybe really feeling like this hard time getting in touch with ourselves. But
Mhm.
this is where I think it's an opportunity for us to say, what can I do to support me being in alignment with myself every day?
Oh, I like that.
Because that's empowering. My dog is eating off my plate.
I
What
was
you
one.
want?
I thought that was happening.
She's like not supposed to do that. Hey, don't do that.
Oh goodness.
Sorry.
We just, it's either kids or dogs. They know when you're recording, right?
Yes, I do. Anyway, so I think that is what we can expect, but it's also where we have an opportunity to be like, this is what I want to experience, and this is what I want to get better at.
Mm.
Where do I want to see things more clearly? How dedicated am I to being in alignment with myself? And
Hmm.
maybe even um, like this is just an idea. But maybe even for the next 5 months, because it goes into retrograde for 5 months, right?
Hmm.
Maybe even for the next 5 months, we are really intentionally and purposefully on a regular basis connecting with music in a way that shows us where we are. What music feels good to me today?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And so we can
Kind of.
use it to
We're
bring
we're tuned into Neptune, so I'm
Yeah,
trying to
so
follow you.
yeah, so we can use music in a couple of different ways.
Okay.
One of the ways that we can do it is we can use it as a way to shift the energy that we're currently sitting in to something that we want to experience. This is
Hmm.
why when you go exercise, people will listen to an upbeat playlist,
Right.
right? To help
Hmm.
give them energy.
Yes.
Because when we listen to that vibration, so this is what music does.
Hmm.
This is how it impacts our entire soul. So when we listen to the sound of music,
Hmm.
the instrumentals really touches our heart, right?
Right. Hmm.
I'm sure you've experienced a song, you turn a song on the radio, they haven't even sung any words yet, and you're already like, I want to cry,
Hmm.
right? And that's
Absolutely.
because it's opening the door to our heart. So it's connecting to our vibration.
Okay.
And then we have the lyrics that are really speaking to our mind, right?
Hmm.
And then we have the sound, the like the physical sound of the music that's hitting our eardrums. And our eardrums create that wave that starts in our body. And our body is similar to a lake, like when you throw a coin in a lake or a rock in a lake, it creates a ripple effect.
Right.
So now that vibration is now rippling through the rest of our body.
Okay.
So when we listen to music, the vibration is affecting our body. So now we have
Right.
three parts of our soul.
Yes.
And then the spirit. So the combination of the words and the arrangement of the song together speak messages to our spirit. So
Absolutely.
the vibration of music, the frequency of the music can actually change our soul, the vibration of our soul at that moment. So we can
Absolutely.
use it. Yeah, like you've seen it, right? You know
Hmm.
what I'm
I
saying?
felt it. Yep.
Yes. So we can use it in that way to like shift where we're at into somewhere new. We can also use it in a way to say, what am I feeling right now? What song is resonating? And then what is that song saying to me?
Hmm.
And that can help us bring that like helps bring us into alignment then so we can see clearly, oh, I'm actually feeling really sad right now.
Hmm.
And then we can start asking ourselves questions. Why am I feeling sad? What is going on? What is this song saying to me? How am I resonating with this song? And then you can create a shift and like purposefully choose into a different song. And I feel like in that way throughout this retrograde, we can really use music to help support us as we transition from the fuzzy space to the clear space. Okay,
Okay.
what feeling am I having going on right now? What am I
Hmm.
experiencing? And then
Yeah.
use music to shift it.
So it's kind of like you're saying music's kind of a tether, kind of pulling us
Yes.
back. So I love that. I think that I didn't consider that as a way to bring us back, but I can see that. I think that especially with the retrograde, it will be harder to be in tune with how we're feeling, and we might try to escape that more. So I think that's actually very, very helpful. Very
Yeah, the
helpful advice.
music can bring us back without, and music is so gentle.
And it brings us back to the present, which is what we need.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I
Yes.
love that. Okay. So speaking of music, I wanted to ask you some I wanted to ask you um what is Neptune's theme song?
Neptune's theme song?
Uh-huh. What
I
would you
would
say?
say that is a good question. I had never even thought of that. There's only one planet I have a theme song for, and that's Capricorn.
I really want to know what it is.
What Capricorn's is?
Uh-huh.
This is how we do
Do.
it. And there's no other right.
Very good.
That's the only one. That's the only planet that I've like really heard concretely. Like what
There's no
a
other
theme
way.
song for it, but that's a good question. Now I'm like,
Mm.
I wonder what it would be. And I think it could be different for everyone, but I don't know. That's a good question. I'm gonna have to think about that one.
Yeah. The one that comes to my mind is Head Full of Dreams by Coldplay.
Oh,
Pretty much anything by Coldplay, it's just so ethereal. And I mean, he is a
yeah.
Pisces. So,
Yeah.
it's gonna be kind of dreamy and ethereal,
Yeah.
but
I
head full
like
of
that.
dreams, probably.
Head full of dreams. I like that. Definitely.
I'm a big Coldplay fan.
I think
Huge.
I knew that. I think I forgot, but I think I knew that.
Yeah. Um, it's like it's probably because Pisces is opposite of Virgo. And so it really grounds me. And in a way, like it kind of doesn't make me as grounded. I don't know. Anyway, it balances me out. I feel like I can breathe when I listen to
Yeah.
Coldplay. I don't know what that's about, but
That makes sense because it's not as heavy maybe as like a Virgo, because a Virgo is such an earthy sign and such a
hmm
heavy sign, where Pisces is lighter. So it like brings
hmm
that energy up a little bit. Not
yeah.
in like a bouncy kind of way. Like we're not talking
No,
Leo
no,
here.
it's
We're
just
talking
the
like,
otherworldly way that I'm obsessed with.
yes.
I love
Yeah.
that Pisces like meditation and
Yeah.
just going to another place that's helpful and not escaping.
Yes. Yep. I totally agree.
So speaking of dreams, I wanted to talk about this a little bit because in the class that I'm getting certified in, you've already been certified. Naomi talked about how having Neptune in retrograde, it makes it harder for us to dream, or we feel like it's not very like helpful. So we have kind of this resistance to dreaming. Have you experienced that as far as like productive dreaming?
Yeah. Productive dreaming. Uh, yeah. And so, so it's funny. It's like, because I used it as a form of escape, even as young, like I'm talking
hmm
more like in ninth grade, I found a boy I liked and I was for sure I was going to marry him. So every night when before I went to bed, I would just daydream about him and our kids, and I did this through 12th grade.
Uh-huh.
So this is like actually I was 12 when I met him, and but I think I was 14 when like the obsession was hardcore.
hmm
And so 14 to 18, it was just like all the time, Um, and that's not really productive because it wasn't me connecting. Like I said, if we're not connected to reality, or we're gonna have a hard time connecting to our dreams and what it is that we truly desire, which I
hmm
think is part of what our dreams are. Um,
Yes.
we have like our immediate desires, and then we have like our big, um, I don't know, I say our spirit's desire. Like
hmm
we have our heart's desire and then we have our spirit's desire. And and when we are off in la la land, that is not our spirit's desire. That's just la la land. Like,
Uh-huh.
you know what
Uh-huh.
I'm saying? Which
Yeah,
is not
totally.
effective. It's not helpful. And then when I woke up and I was like, I have to wake up, like I have to see what's going on for real in my life, then I didn't
Mhm.
want to daydream at all. And
Yeah.
I didn't want to connect to it. And I
hmm
didn't want to, like, let's not get lost in desires of the future. Let's not get lost in desires of what my spirit wants. Let's just see what's going on right now.
hmm
It isn't
hmm
helpful because then you can't see where it is that you want to go. Like, where do you want to be in 5 or 10 years? I couldn't say,
hmm
because
Yeah.
I'm just completely disconnected. How do you experience it?
So for me, I was it's like the things that I really wanted, like really desired. I was so afraid to want them,
Hmm.
um, to like invest in that dream, that I came up with all these other dreams that I felt like were my dream to distract myself, if
Yeah.
that makes any sense. Like
Yep.
I would say, this is my dream, business. And I would just throw everything at that and say, like, this is my dream, this is what I want to build. But actually, when I really would check in, when I would attune and I would check in with my heart, actually God would bring up this other dream over and over and over again that I kept trying to kill.
I don't know anything about that.
He would just keep bringing it back and bringing it back and saying, no, actually, this is what you really want.
Yeah.
And so finally, when I saw Because, and I've heard this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but where Neptune is, like the house that it's in, that's what you dream about. And
Yeah.
Neptune is in the fourth house for me.
Mm.
So actually, my dream is a family that is safe and connected. And it's like what I see is a family around a dinner table and just enjoying each other's company. And like I've had that dream since I was really young.
Mm.
And I've held on to it because I come from a yours, mine, and ours family.
Yeah.
Um, we just, it was not that. It was just
Right.
not that. And but I've always felt like it was a fool's hope for a very, very, very long
Yeah.
time. But God keeps bringing it up and bringing it up. And finally, when I saw in my chart that Neptune was in the fourth house, it just like all of a sudden I was like, oh, I don't know, I gave myself permission or something switched.
Mm.
And now I'm going full force into that because Capricorn is in my fourth house. So I'm just like set up for success there, right? Like I'm just going
Yeah.
forward with that dream and I'm just like laser focused on it. And
Yeah.
miracles are happening all over the place because I'm aligned with that true desire.
I love that a lot.
So,
I love
yeah. So I don't know if that's been the way it is for you, like where Neptune is, which house it's in, that's what you dream about, or like where your deepest desires are. But that's how it's for me.
It's in my fifth house.
Hmm.
I don't know.
You're like, I don't know. I have to think about that.
I was just thinking, creativity, hard no on that one.
I don't know. Do you want to be an artist? No. But there's songs like singing. You love to sing.
I do love to sing, and
Love
I've
that.
been invited a few times to write music, which is like a hard pass. Um,
Oh, that would be fun. Well, writing lyrics, I like doing that. I don't know how to write
yeah,
music.
I mean, I've written a couple of things. I've written a few things, but it's not like radio worthy. It
Hmm.
wasn't even a dream of mine. It was just something that I did. Do you know what
Hmm.
I'm saying?
Hmm.
Or that I was asked to do. And there have been a lot of people that are like, I think you really need to write music. And I'm like, I really think that's a bad idea. So I don't know if I'm just in the stage of like fighting it or if it just
Oh yeah.
really is not in alignment, but I don't know. I just think, okay, fifth house, sex, yes, I can dream about that. Um,
I dream about that.
I should, is that too personal for a
No,
podcast?
I don't care.
Um, children, like no, but I actually do like like in my dreams, will dream about sex.
There you
So
go.
yeah, there you go.
There you go. There you go.
I don't
See,
know.
I don't know. Like, I don't know if that's the way it is for everyone, but I read that note and it felt right to me. So
Yeah, I'm gonna have to think
anyway.
on that. That's good. That's gonna make me think.
Well, good, good. I want to help you think. Um, okay, I think the last question I have is this, and you've talked about this before on your Facebook page, I've seen, is that dreaming has been a huge part of your manifesting process. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So dreaming is really big, and I know um, because of the ability that I had, and I think that we have to kind of get sucked in, you know, man, that boy that I liked in high school, like I created all sorts of dreams for us,
Hmm.
and I really could feel the pull so much. And so I think like when I'm there, it's easy to
Hmm.
see and to experience where people are like, hey, when you are trying to manifest, think about how it feels, smell it, touch it,
Hmm.
taste it, like hear it, like use
Hmm.
all of your senses. I was like, that's child's play. I've been doing that since I was a kid about these other things, and then I hear in my chart that I'm a specific manifester, so I can think of very specific things and then
Hmm.
they happen.
Uh-huh.
And then it just and I'm like, that doesn't actually happen for me. Um, but as I and this it might be okay, I'm gonna answer it like this. It
Okay.
show up a little bit different than one would think dreaming shows up. Like
Okay.
we think about doing again, like those manifestation tips. Think it, feel it, touch it, taste it, hear it. Um, no, not for me. Like my dreaming is when I'm in alignment and when I'm in attunement with God and I
Hmm.
can really feel. So this has been something that's been really big for me over the last couple of years is in my prayers instead of just going to God and talking to God, it's united.
Okay.
So I will ask God what to pray for sometimes.
Hmm.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Or if I have a class coming up and I'm like, I really want X amount of people there, I check to see how it feels is
Okay.
as I'm in prayer. And then I'm like, oh, that's actually not the right thing to ask for.
Hmm.
And so then I can be like, okay, what is it that you want me to ask for?
Hmm.
And so, do you know what I mean? And then I can
Yeah.
be like, okay, my angels, I'm supposed to ask my angels to gather people for the class, and my only focus is to have fun with the marketing. And
Okay.
so, do you know what
They're
I'm
good.
saying?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
totally see
And
that.
so
So
it's
that you're not
been,
heavy
yeah,
lifting. Yeah.
yes. And so, like, connecting to my dreams isn't, it hasn't looked so much quite like daydreaming as it has connecting to God and asking Him to widen my dreams and
Okay.
widen my possibilities. Does that make sense? Or is that just
Hmm.
like,
No, it totally makes sense.
I don't know. And it has been really cool. And God has woken me up in the middle of the night and said, I need you to believe that this specific dollar amount is inevitable. And I'm like, okay, I don't
Okay.
like, I literally woke up one night in the middle of the night and heard, I need you to believe that $7,000 in 30 days is inevitable. And I was like, that's a chunk of change. And but it was so clear and it wasn't like inside my head. You know when
Hmm.
like you hear God's voice and it kind of feels far away? It was
Yeah,
like up front,
it was
up
right
close and
there.
personal. It was like right there. And it
Wow.
was like dead asleep to hearing the voice. And I was like, whoa. I was like, okay, I'll start saying it's inevitable and believing it. And it happened in
Wow.
30 days. And I was
Wow.
blown away. And then a couple months later it was five figures. And I was like, this is real.
Wow.
And so really like attuning to my dreams and asking him what next and what is in alignment for me to ask for now. And
Mm.
really feeling that in my body.
Hmm.
Okay, so
I love that.
I would like just am hearing I love asking questions and then like putting them on the shelf and kind of letting it percolate in the back, you
Hmm.
know? And so
Hmm.
as we are like talking through this, I'm like, okay, what is it? What are my dreams? If Neptune is connected to my dreams, my dream is creating and
Yeah.
being so creative and having that like creation, the creation juices always flowing. And it just feels really good to be in alignment in prayer with God and saying, okay, my son is having a hard time. What is it that you want me to ask for?
Mm.
And then seeing that come to fruition
Oh,
within
I
a
love
day or
that.
two.
Oh, I love that.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, and that totally goes along with your fifth house.
Yeah.
Your dream is to create, like
Yeah.
creation, right?
Yeah.
That's so cool. That's so cool.
Yeah. I do
So, like,
actually
you
want to
truly
create a
are
lot of things.
co-creating with God.
Yes. And that's my desire. And I was just thinking, where I'm going to look it up. What house is, I don't have my chart memorized. Can you believe it? So Neptune is in
Actually, I
Sagittarius.
can't.
You can't. I don't
I
look, I'm
see
like,
my chart all the time in my head.
there's a few things I know exactly where they are. My Mercury, done. Sun, moon, done,
Done.
done. Alice, got it. Neptune, no. What house is, like, I know what house it's in. I don't know what sign it's in. So my fifth house starts in Scorpio, but my Neptune is actually in Sagittarius.
Oh, okay. So expansive. So
Expansive,
expansive
yes.
creation. That's cool.
Hmm.
That's really cool.
Example. and fun.
It is fun.
I'm
Well,
lovely.
do you want to talk a little bit about like where people can find you and like what services you offer? Things like that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Okay.
You can find me at soulsound.co, www.soulsound.co. You could also join my Facebook group at Soul Sound with Cytel Schults. I talk a lot about like astrology, and I have a whole Mercury series on
It's so good, by the way.
YouTube and a Chiron series.
Oh,
Oh, the
so
Chiron series was like, I don't think there's just because Chiron is Jesus, but that's like a whole nother that's a
hmm
whole nother podcast.
Yeah,
Gonna
that
be
was
about.
amazing.
Yeah, so that's been my favorite. But so those are some places that you can find me. And then I do a diagnostic session to really help people understand and see what's going on with their voice. Um, Oftentimes we're either connected to the power of our voice or we're connected to the frequency of our voice, but it's not often that we're connected to both. And I want people to really be connected to the power and frequency of their voice so that they can really share the messages that they're here to share.
Mm, I love that. Well, thank you so much for being here. This was
Thanks
so
for
fun.
having me. It was fun.
All
And
right.
it got me thinking. I like that.
Yeah, I enjoy that. Maybe as my Virgo, as an analytical person, I enjoy getting you to think.
I love it as well.
I thank you.